Right, hi guys, good morning. Welcome to another lesson. Hopefully you've been able to join me and we've been able to have a bit of being able to enjoy this lesson today. So today we're going to be starting to talk about something called string manipulation. Now, we finished the idea of file handling for the time being. If you have had any issues with the file handling stuff, please just let me know in Show My Homework. We can have a conversation about that with the two of us having a conversation on there. If you have found that difficult, we will be coming back to it another time in the future, but at the moment I want to move on to this idea of string manipulation. Now, so today's lesson, we will be looking at two different things. One is concatenation, and one is called string slicing. Now, just to make sure you are all very clear about what this is, a string is a piece of text. So a bit like this piece of text here in the middle of the screen, pizza, that is a piece of text. The word pizza is a piece of text, and it's made up of 5 different letters, P-I-Z-Z-A. Okay, so when we are talking about concatenation and string slicing, that is one of the things that we're going to be using a string in that that we're using this concatenation string slicing. Okay, so concatenation is the computer science term for joining multiple strings together. So more than one string being joined together, that is the term concatenation. We use that special word there. A plus symbol is used for this in Python. Okay, so I've got a little task for you. I thought I wouldn't have you just sitting there watching this time, but I've got a specific task for you. I want you to go onto the tiny URL /berrycs, go into the year 9 folder, go into the practical folder, and in there is a like a test, but it's not a test, it's a task to fill in your answers, because obviously usually I would ask you to do this on a whiteboard or something like that, but actually I can still get your answers in the Google Forms that I've got here. So assuming that greeting equals hello in speech marks and name equals Elizabeth, what do you think these statements will do? So as I say, in the tiny URL, there is a task for you there. So if I was to go open up my new tab, go to tinyurl.com, hang on, tinyurl.com/berrycs, and then so there I am, berrycs. And if you've been to it before, you should get that drop down coming up. Then you've got your year 9 folder. Let me zoom in a little bit. Ooh, a bit too far. In the practical folder, I want you to go to the concatenation task. We will later be doing the string slicing task, but at the moment it's the purple one that's called concatenation task. Go into there and you should have some questions to answer. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then I'll come back and see how you're doing. Okay, so I'm just having a look at what you have sent me, and I've got some really good answers so far, so well done. Those of you who are still doing it, just get that finished off, and then it'd be good to see. So number 1, where it says print greeting plus name, most of you got that correct. I think a couple of you just forgot to put the capital H in there, which meant that you didn't quite get that correct answer. And one of you seemed to not quite get what I was asking for, so you explained what was being printed rather than just writing what was being printed out. So yeah, just check your spelling on what you think that should be, but that should be hello Elizabeth with the capital H and the capital E, no space. Okay, and hopefully you were able to read my feedback in that because it's not specifically told it to have a space, there is no space in there. Okay, next question, where it says greeting. Oh, I forgot to change it, but it should either be greeting comma name or greeting plus space plus name. Again, most of you got that, and again, just capitalization and checking your spelling. It will add a space between the name. So hello space Elizabeth. Okay. Third one, where it says hi in speech marks here and a gap here plus name. because there's a gap, we have specifically written in the gap, there will be a gap. Usually there wouldn't be one, but oh, there should be a gap there. Sorry, because there was specifically the space written there. Now, I didn't write that there. I should have written that there. Apologies for that. Okay. Number 4, a few of you, this is where I caught a few of you out, I think. Only one of you managed to work out exactly what was happening, and so none of you officially got this right because you didn't write the specific word that I wrote. But because the word high here, it's going, hang on, what's high? I don't know what high is. Okay, so high plus name. Python doesn't know what high is. It thinks it's a variable, so you're going to end up with an error. So I typed the word error in an to kind of guess that's what you might type. None of you typed that, but that's fine. One of you gave the correct answer, but it wasn't marked correctly on the Google form. This one here, print name plus speech marks space speech marks plus name. Good, most of you got that right. Again, the idea is that make sure your spelling is correct on spelling the word Elizabeth. A few of you just, apparently the word Elizabeth is quite a difficult word to spell. Again, the capitalization as well. If it's been capitalized in the variable, it needs to be capitalized in your answer as well. So name plus space plus name just gives Elizabeth space Elizabeth. Okay. Print name times 2. I was surprised so many of you managed to get this, actually. Very, very well done for kind of working out what that would do, because I don't think I've explicitly taught you that before. So times 2 just means that it repeats the same thing twice. So it obviously, because there is no space in the name Elizabeth, it doesn't add the spaces for us. So it's going to just be Elizabeth, Elizabeth, no spaces in between. And then this last one was a little bit of a tough one. The one person who put hello Eli, well done for, that was a very good guess, because the answer was actually hello Liz. And I'll explain that in a bit more detail just now. So where we've got greeting, which is hello, obviously, and we've got a space, so we leave a space there, and then name 1 to 4, which would be Liz. Now, I'll explain why this is the case. So we've got these square brackets here. We can use square brackets like we do for lists, because a string is simply a list of characters. And so you can kind of see here, Elizabeth is like E-L-I-Z-A-B-E-T-H. Each character in the list can be referenced by an index like we do for lists. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the person who put hello Eli probably just forgot that index in Python starts at 0. So so because it starts at 0, it gets these 3 items here instead of the 0, 1, 2 ELI. Okay. So indexing in Python starts at 0, though some questions in your exam might specify that indexing starts at 1. So be careful, watch out for that. Just remember, normally it starts at 0. If it specifically says in your exam the index starts at 0 at 1, then it will accept that it will only accept things from 1 onwards. So think about that as well. So this idea of name 1 to 4, it finds the item at index 1, which is the letter L in this case, and it keeps going until it gets to the index 4. Now, it might help if you picture this like you're measuring it with a ruler. So here's my little ruler underneath my word Elizabeth, and I've evenly spaced each letter in the word. I've got my index 1 and my index 4, okay? So if I look at index 1 and index 4, if I was to measure this and go, I only want the bits between index 1 and index 4, then I would only get LIZ, okay? So I'm hoping that's kind of you've been able to understand how that works. So just to quickly go back over that, we use square brackets like this like we do for lists, because string is simply a list of characters. So if we were to say name 5 without any colons, then it would give us the letter B. Okay. And finding the item at index 1 up to index 4, but not including index 4, okay? Because obviously index 4 is item A, okay? So this idea is called string slicing. It allows us to slice a piece of text into parts, kind of like you're cutting it up. And we are referencing the indexes. So those indexes that we're talking about, 0, 1, 2, 3, all of those, we are referencing them and we are slicing it up. That slice, or that little bit of the text, is called a substring. That's what we call it because it is part of a string, so substring. If you omit, otherwise known as don't include, so if you don't include the first number, so for example, if you wrote name square bracket colon 5 without putting a number in front of the colon and then close square brackets, Python will think that you want to go from the beginning of the string. The same goes for the second number. So for example, if you were to write name bracket square bracket 2 colon and then just close the bracket and not put a second number in, Python will assume you want to go to the end of the string. You can also include a third number, which tells Python how much you want to step between characters. So this is a bit like when we were using the range. So when we were doing our for loops, we said for x in range, and the range was, we could talk about range 182 would give us would give us indexes of 1 up to 8, but going up in 2s. So for example, this would give us every other character if the third number is 2. So name 182 would give LZBT because it's looking at every other character. Okay, so with that in mind, all of that information that I've just given you, assuming that pizza equals Hawaiian, be careful of the spelling here as well. What do these statements do? So again, go onto the tiny URL, go into the year 9 folder if you've closed it as well, into the practical folder and open up the string slicing task to fill in your answers. So again, this is just in the same folder as before, the string slicing task here. Okay, so I'll give you again another few minutes on that and I will see how you're doing. Right, guys, so this has been an interesting one. There's been a few people who've managed to get most of them right, which is good, but quite a few people who've found this really difficult. So I'm going to try as hard as I can to try and explain this in as much detail as I can. There's a few people who seem to really struggle with this. So print pizza 0. So because the word pizza is equal to Hawaiian, like this, pizza 0, if we go back to, oops, God, I've clicked on the wrong thing. If we go back to this point, if we look at name 0 would have been E. So pizza 0 would be this capital H, just the capital H on its own. So capital H is what pizza 0 would give you, okay? So we're just looking at the 0th character in the string, okay? Pizza, close brackets, colon 5, open brackets, close brackets, sorry. Now, if you remember what I said earlier about the fact that it goes from the beginning, most of you managed to work that one out up to but not including the fifth character along. So don't forget, sorry, that this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it doesn't include this 5th character. Remember, we're kind of measuring it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so it only is Hawaii, but without the second I. Okay? So a few of you got that, a couple of you got that, but a few of you didn't quite manage that one. A couple of you were either said Hawa or Hawaii, both of them. So that one's a bit more tricky to try and remember, but well done for remembering that if the first number isn't there, then it will assume you're going from the beginning. Okay. Third one down, where it says print pizza 0, 2. A lot more of you managed to get this one because you remembered that you kind of look at it like you're measuring it. So from 0 up to 2, so 0, 1, 2 gets you just ha. Okay, HA. Right. A couple of you put haw, HAW. That's not quite right because and one of you put HW. So you were just looking at index 1 and you were looking at index 0 and index 2, but you weren't looking at what was in between. You need to, so if it's got that colon there like this, that means it's going from one thing to the other, not it's not just saying print pizza 0, print pizza 2, because that's what HW would be, or H and then new line W. Okay, this one I caught a couple of you out on, in fact quite a lot of you out on. Only one of you managed to get this perfectly. One of you, one other person managed to just about kind of write the right idea, but you didn't quite get it completely correct. So pizza 6, note that this is in speech marks. So because it's in speech marks, it's going to print literally what's in those speech marks. So it's going to print out pizza, open square bracket, 6, close square bracket. Yeah, that is literally what it's printing out. So don't forget, if it's got speech marks, it doesn't look at the variable at all. Okay, number 5, print pizza. Most of you worked out that pizza is still a variable, and so it just prints out just the whole word Hawaiian. Okay, because it's just printing out what the variable is. Okay, good. Number 6, where it says print pizza 6. This time I'm not playing around with you. So pizza 6, if we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that gives us the letter A. A couple of you put I. one of you put I even, that is probably because you counted from 1 instead of from 0. So remember that we count from 0 in when we're talking about indexing things. Okay, so that's the letter A. Print pizza 2 to 4. Now again, same idea as before, 0, 1, 2. So it starts here, 3, 4. So it's just these 2 items here, wa. Okay, and again, you don't include the 4th item or the 4th index. I think a lot of people seem to struggle with that one. A few people managed to work out that it was wa. One person accidentally capitalized the W. Obviously, that's not capitalized, so the final answer wouldn't be either. So final one, print pizza 3 colon and then nothing. What does that do? That gives us from the 3rd index, so 0, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, starts 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it starts just after this W, and it goes on from there. So it's just iron. Okay. I think one of you missed out on that A. I'm wondering how you managed to do that. Maybe you put the kind of did what I just did and went 0, 1, 2, 3 instead of starting 0 before the H. 0, 1, 2, 3. Can you see what I've done there? So hopefully that kind of helps you try and work it out. If you've got any particular questions about how this works, if you didn't quite understand any of that, or there was any parts in particular that you didn't understand, then give this video another watch after we finished. And then if you're still not sure, have send me a message on Show My Homework. Okay, so for the rest of this lesson, I want you to send me or create these 2 programs. Now, again, you can do this on jump2. If you go to jump2.cc/Python new, jump2.cc/Python new, then that will give you your your trinket to be able to do some coding, which I've just been doing some coding for my year 10s as well. What I would like you to do is write a program to ask the user for their full name. And then based on this string slicing information that we've just had, it should output their whole name. So that should be quite straightforward. It should then output the first character. It should output the first 5 characters. Or one of the things that I forgot to mention is that a space, if you think about if we had hello world instead of Hawaiian, the space in between hello and world is still a character. So you need to consider that as well. So if you've got someone's whole name, so John Smith with a space in between, you would be looking at the first character. The first 5 characters would be JOHN and then space. That space would be included as well. Or if it was Max Caulfield, it would be MAX space C, because that's 5 characters. Okay. Then the 4th, 5th, and 6th characters. This should be if you think about these 4th, 5th, and 6th. Don't forget that indexing starts at 0, so it would actually, according to Python, it would be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Okay, instead of 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do. So that should be based on the information that we've just gone over. The second thing I want you to do with concatenation, so this first task is to use your knowledge of string slicing that you've hopefully got from this lesson. And your second task is to use your knowledge of concatenation, which I think a lot of you were able to show me quite well in this lesson. Create a Mad Libs program, which asks for a name. it asks for an adjective, it asks for a noun, a verb, and an adverb. So you'll need 5 input statements. It will then output a silly sentence back to the user, including the words that the user input. So for example, name is a adjective, noun, who, verb, adverb. So Tom is a silly boy who runs playfully, something like that. Whatever the user has typed in. You don't have to come up with the name, adjective, noun, verb, and adverb, so you just have to ask the user for them. You can test your program putting in your own name, adjective, noun, verbs, and adverbs if you want, but make sure it works. When you run your code, you are testing your code, making sure it works. So these are things I would like you to send me on Show My Homework. I will end it there. But hopefully you've been able to learn a bit about concatenation and about string slicing. This word here just means adding things together in terms of strings, adding strings together, and then string slicing is cutting them up, okay? So I'd like you to send those to me. Have a lovely week. I hope that was a useful lesson for you. If you feel you learned something, give it a thumbs up. If you feel you haven't learned anything, give it a thumbs down, and then I can be able to see how we've done. And if you feel you haven't learned something, please message me on Show My Homework, and I will endeavor to have a conversation with you about it. Okay, have a lovely week. Bye guys.